You ever do that thing where you're supposed to record something and you forget to hit the record button? That's what I just did. So here's take two. Welcome back to my series on betting on boxing. Today we're going to be covering the methods of victory, but before that, let me get into the introduction. My name is Percy, and welcome to the 4Bs, where we discuss boxing, betting the B-side, and other BS. Today we will get into the method of victory bets, but before we do that, I just want to jump into a few things to make sure that you are straight on what we covered before on the money line. Like every learner loves, we're going to do that via a pop quiz. But don't worry, you don't have to go to summer school if you fail. You don't have to repeat 6th grade for the third time and be 14 years old. That's not at stake here. We're just going to go over some low-stakes stuff about the money line first. So right here, we're looking at the money line information from FanDuel, where we see that Mbili is a minus 430 and Derevchenko is a plus 310. First question for you is, who is the favorite to win? Feel free to pause and go back if you need to. Choice A is Mbili at minus 430. B is Derevchenko at plus 310. And C is, what about the tie? Or IDK, I have no idea. The correct answer here is Christian Mbili. When you see that negative, this tells you that the odds makers believe that this is the fighter who is going to win. But this line can often change as people put in their bets, and spoiler alert, it already has changed. If you weren't sure of this answer, pause the video. I'm going to put a card up on the screen too so you can go back to the Moneyline episode and review that first if you'd like to. On to question number 2. If you want to win $100 by betting on Christian Mbili, how much do you need to bet to make that amount? A, $100, B, $430, or C, $1,000? The correct answer here is B, $430. The $100 would be relevant if this was a even money bet, like a plus 100 or minus 100 type of bet, something like that. The $1,000 was just a red herring, just to throw you off this case here. When you see minus 430, the way that you read that is, if you would like to make $100 on Christian Mbili, you have to bet $430 to do so. Everything is based on a standard of $100, although you can scale down. So if you bet $43 on him, you could win 10. And so on and so forth. You keep the ratios the same. Looking on the opposite side of that, if you bet $100 on Sergey Derevchenko to win and he does win, your $100 would earn you $310. So you would get $310 in profit back plus the $100 that you had originally bet. Next question. How much do I need to bet on Mbili in the money line 3-way to win back $100? Now your choice options are A, $360, B, $430, or C, $1,600. The correct answer is not B. The amount you have to bet now has changed because of the introduction of the draw as a variable. You actually risk less this time. You risk $360 to win $100 if you choose Christian Mbili to win on the moneyline 3-way. However, you are getting that by taking on more risks that if the draw were to happen, now you would lose your $360. In the first option where you had a straight money line of $430, if you bet $430 and it ends up in a draw, it's called a push and you get your money back. So you're taking on more risk that you will lose on a draw by doing the money line 3-way. All right, so let's move on to today's topic, method of victory. First, the basics of this. What are the basic outcomes for a boxer in a boxing match? 1, a boxer can lose. 2, both boxers can draw. And 3, there can be a no contest. So this no contest, and here's why there's an asterisk on the board. If they rule it a no contest during the match, before any payouts have been made, then that is considered a push, and you get your money back. Or if it's part of a parlay, that part of the parlay is voided, and your parlay is only based on the other elements in that parlay. However, if that is ruled a no contest after the fact, after the bets have been paid out, as is the case with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, if you had bet and lost on Devin Haney, you lost the money. It's not coming back to you. And if you had bet and won on Ryan Garcia, they're not coming to take it out of your account. Then, of course, there's the last outcome in which a boxer can win. And this is what leads us into the method of victory. How did this boxer add that W to his record column? Your 3 basic types of victories are going to be your KO, TKO, and disqualification victory. These all count as one thing underneath this. Your decisions and your technical decisions, and also draws. What the latter two have in common between draws and decisions is that they go to the judges' scorecards. And there are multiple ways that these can end up happening. So let's say if we have all 3 judges rule it a draw. Okay, that's easy enough, right? That's in 12-round fight, 114, 114 times 3. But there's also a situation where one judge might have one fighter winning and then the other two had a draw, and that's going to become a majority decision draw because the two people who had a draw overrule the one who had fighter one winning the fight. A third way that a draw can happen is a split draw. And now this is a case where one judge has the first fighter winning, another judge has the second fighter winning, and the third judge, who would have been the tiebreaker, has a draw. So now it's a split draw. As for decisions, when you have a unanimous decision, that means all of the judges agreed that one fighter won. A split decision is where two of the judges feel that one fighter won, and then the third judge feels that the other fighter won. And then there's the majority decision where two of the judges feel that fighter one is the victor, but then the third judge ruled it a draw. Either way, those still count as victories, and they all count as decision victories, right? Finally, there's also the technical decision. Now, this is the case where it'll still go to the scorecards, but now it's going to the scorecards before the official end of the fight was supposed to happen. So in a 12-round fight, if that fight had to be stopped anytime before the 12th round, and that could be due to like an accidental headbutt or some kind of accidental injury or interference of some kind that caused the fight to have to stop, then as long as they've logged 4 full rounds already, they can go to the judge's scorecard and come up with a decision that way, either a decision or a draw. If it gets to the 4th round and they haven't finished the fight yet, the 4th round yet, and they don't have enough rounds to score, then that would end up being a no contest or a no decision. Now for a word on knockouts, and this gets a little bit tricky. So I'm going to have us look at Luis Alberto Lopez's last 2 fights because one ended in a knockout and one that ended in a TKO. So when we look at his last fight, he fought Angelo Leo. Leo hit him with a hook so clean that Lopez's head bounced off the canvas 2-3 times. He was out like a light, and the ref counted all the way to 10. Fight's over. That's what's called a KO victory, a knockout. In his previous fight, he fought Rhea Abe from Japan, and at one point, he's egging the crowd on, trying to get them into it, then starts throwing a flurry of punches that Abe has no answer for, and the person who answers it is the referee, who jumps in the middle and saves Abe from this and stops the fight. That is called a technical knockout, a TKO, because the referee made a judgment decision to step in and end the fight. If anyone steps in, whether it be a referee, a doctor, the corner, or even the boxer himself, like in the infamous No Mas fight between Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran, that'll be considered a TKO. Now here's why it gets tricky. Let's go back to that knockout Lopez suffered against Angelo Leo. If the ref had come up to Lopez, looked at him and seen he's not going to get up, and just waved his arms off and that was it, that's no longer a KO, that's a TKO. If he started the count and said 1, 2, and looked and realized this is useless, there's no way he's getting up, and waves it off, that is also a TKO. So the one thing I want you to take away from this is to stay away when they offer it. It's not all the time. Stay away from the exact method of victory bet, because instead of lumping KO, TKO, and disqualification under one umbrella of a stoppage win, they will separate them out. KO is one thing, TKO is another, DQ is another. And that makes it really hard for you to win your bet, because you don't really know what the ref is going to do. You don't even know what the corner is going to do. And I'll take that a step further by looking at an undercard fight from this fight, when Vito Malnicki fought a guy named Lorenzo Toth, I believe. And he hit him with a left hook, dropped Toth to the ground. Toth got up like a newborn horse and legs all wobbly and everything like that. And he wanted to continue fighting, but his corner jumped up on the apron and said, "No, we don't want any more fighting. We're over." Toth was like, no, I want to keep going. And his corner, who was his dad, stepped into the ring and stopped the fight. That moment where if you had a Malnicki by TKO victory, you just lost. Because once the corner put his foot into the ring during an active round, it became a DQ by the corner interference. So be very careful with that. If it's under that umbrella, it doesn't matter. Stoppage win, you win your money. But on to the things that you can do with a method of victory bets. Now that we've discussed all these different ways, it should make a little more sense as to what you're looking at. Remember that a plus odds number that's higher means that it's less likely in the odds maker's eyes to happen. So if we look at these odds again, and we're looking at both FanDuel and DraftKings, for the Mbili versus Derevyanchenko fight, we see that things like Derevyanchenko winning by a decision or Derevyanchenko winning by a KO or TKO is far less likely than Mbili winning by either of those. We also see that Derevyanchenko winning by a decision is even more unlikely and kind of in the same range as there being a draw. So we know that those are the things that the odds makers believe are less likely to happen. But then when we look at Mbili's lines, we see that the odds makers believe that he's slightly more likely to win by a decision than he is by a stoppage. Now we look at things like this and we say, well, what could cause that? One of the things might be Derevyanchenko's record, where we see he has lost 5 times, but no one has been able to stop him yet. So that could be one of the factors and one of the things that you want to consider when you're making any kinds of bets. But now that we have that down, I just want to make sure that you understand how to read the method of victory bets. If you need any further assistance with boxing betting or with specific fights like the Mbili-Derevyanchenko fight, please make sure to hit like and subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes from here on out. And if you do have any questions or concerns, please just drop a comment for me, and I'll make sure to incorporate that into one of the future episodes.